There are very few motorcycles which have changed the very face of the Indian motorcycling market, and this is undoubtedly one of them. The R15 is now in its third generation. It is apparently the best R15 ever, but we are pitting it in our road test today to see if it has actually improved by leaps and bounds. The R15 version 3 has evolved from the version 2, but trust me, it looks a whole lot better because there's a lot of inspiration from the flagship R1 as well as the middleweight screamer, the R6. This motorcycle finally matches its front and rear end, both of which look very attractive. The design is extremely balanced, and up front you get dual LED lights which look very nice but don't lit the road as well in the night. There's a ram air intake like design in the center. The overall design is very balanced. There are some muscular elements like this tank which looks chunkier than before. However, the tank capacity has reduced by 1 liter to 11 liters. The pillion seat isn't that raised like before and it is slightly more usable. Still, this isn't a motorcycle where a pillion would be comfortable. Heck, this isn't even a motorcycle where the rider would be comfortable, because Yamaha has gone ahead and made this even more aggressive because the riding position is just too committed now. Yamaha has made multiple changes to the geometry of the R15. For starters, the rake has been increased at the front, the trail has been decreased at the rear, the wheelbase is shorter by 20 mm and the seat height has been raised as well, which means it's now comfortable for a tall rider like me. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall and I don't feel so uneasy on this motorcycle. The pegs on this motorcycle have become further rear set, but overall comfort levels are lacking on this motorcycle because this isn't a machine for touring. It is a track motorcycle and it stays true to it. While this is a gorgeous looking motorcycle, unfortunately quality levels are not as per the mark, because this motorcycle has some iffy fit and finish levels. Even switchgear, which has been borrowed from the FZ25, simply feels out of place on our machine. Gone is the analog tachometer, which was such a brilliant looking unit on the old R15. I'm saying that because personally I love analog tachometers. This one gets an all digital dashboard which is horizontal, is quite legible, and also gets twin trip meters, an odometer, fuel meter, as well as average fuel efficiency. It also tells you your average speed. There's a clock as well as a gear position indicator. There's also a shift light on this motorcycle. If there was one thing which the R15 was known for, it is the engine, and they have improved it even further. The base engine more or less remains the same. It has been worked on. There are a slew of changes on the engine of this motorcycle. It gets VVA, which is variable valve actuation, and the overall performance has drastically taken a leap for the better. Now this one produces more power at 19.3 horses, although torque output remains the same at 15 Newton meters. Outright, you know that this motorcycle feels much more punchy lower down. It doesn't have the lag which the old R15 suffered from, and that's largely thanks to VVA, which comes into effect post 6,500 RPM, and it also lights up on the dashboard. Post 6,500 RPM, this motorcycle absolutely screams, and more so near its 11,500 RPM red line. This motorcycle also sounds much better than before. Here is our customary exhaust note. Listen. Although this motorcycle has become punchier than before, unfortunately the refinement isn't as good as the R15 version 2. It does feel slightly thrummy lower down, but the way this gearbox works on this machine is just something else. It has been matched perfectly. It gets a slipper clutch as well, and that works so beautifully that you can really downshift hard and the rear wheel will just not slip. It is just phenomenal. Even though the weight of this motorcycle has increased by 3 kgs, the mileage has actually improved, and in real world riding conditions this one returns around 38 kilometers per liter, which is quite respectable for a 150cc performance motorcycle. And even though this is a performance motorcycle, it's easy to ride in the city now. Obviously, if you exclude the riding position, which is just too committed, but in terms of performance, even city rideability has improved dramatically, which means that this is a motorcycle which just doesn't struggle in stop-go traffic. Being an R series machine, you have to talk about the dynamics, and a lot has changed on this motorcycle. For starters, there's disappointment because it doesn't get upside down forks which are available on the international R15. Instead, it still gets the traditional forks, which by the way are now fatter. However, the front end feel is kind of lacking compared to the version 2. But this motorcycle has a lighter handlebar, which means the clip-ons egg you to push it harder, flick faster, and this is a motorcycle which actually inspires a lot of confidence to push hard. The tires are a bit disappointing though. The MRFs just don't offer the level of grip you would expect from a motorcycle of this class, but Yamaha is offering an optional Metzeler at the rear. But the logic just doesn't make sense. You need more front-end feel rather than rear-end feel. The ride quality of this motorcycle has slightly deteriorated because it feels very stiff. The rear is extremely stiffly sprung, which means you are very uncomfortable over bad roads. However, on good roads, the R15 maintains its line very well. The ride quality is simply flawless. And this motorcycle also does a great job at high speeds to curb wind blast thanks to this visor, which is quite functional as long as you are able to duck down completely. The R15 version 3 shares its brake setup with the FZ25, and there's a slight disappointment because it could do with more stopping power. However, feedback levels are good, but on hard braking there is some sort of nosedive. The version 3 of the R15 is by far the best R15 ever. Yes, the changes are more of an evolution than a revolution, but things have dramatically improved. Because for starters, when we rode it out on the road today, it has way better looks, which attracts a ton of attention. The engine improvements mean that the rideability has also improved. So this isn't a motorcycle which is shy of city traffic. And most importantly, at this price, there's absolutely nothing which even comes close. Yes, it is priced at a premium at rupees 1.46 lakhs on road Mumbai. It still lacks ABS. But if you're looking to ride short distances on the weekday and want to take this motorcycle to the mountains on the weekend, you will not be disappointed at all. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, that's the like button, and also subscribe to the MotorBeam channel.